I'm going to read some more from Dr. Maurice Nicoll on the psychological commentaries on the teaching of Gurdjieff and Ouspensky. 4 volumes. I highly recommend it for anybody who is interested in the study of Gurdjieff's teaching, Ouspensky's teaching. Definitely I recommend to people that are coming to my groups. I recommend sooner or later to get into Dr. Maurice Nicoll. I really like Maurice Nicoll, especially for a certain initial phase of understanding the knowledge, the complexity, yet the simplicity of the knowledge, higher knowledge of the fourth way system. But also it's targeted towards kind of inner observation of those things in oneself, and is targeted towards very practical application of the fourth way principles, in particular with the practice of self-observation, which is basically being aware of one's ego, being aware of one's false personality, being aware of the thoughts, the beliefs, the feelings, the energies, the contractions, the relational attitudes, the habits, rather than being those habits and contractions and belief systems. Now we are observing them. So that's in a nutshell the principle of self-observation that we are encouraged to start right away in the fourth way. But also it's highly recommended, even if you're on a Tibetan Buddhist path or Dzogchen or Non-Duality or Ramana, they would recommend the same thing. Osho, many swamis, this training oneself instead of being checked out in daydreaming, in all this listening to the voices and the different parts in oneself arguing with each other or negotiating or scheming or rehashing. Instead of being in that state, which is in the fourth way system, it's called the waking sleep, the second state. It's the normal default state of all humanity. So instead of being in that, to make a particular type of conscious effort to go towards like a higher available states of consciousness, in particular the third state. All of this, they have degrees. It's like a dimmer switch. So we get closer to the third state, which is the state of just simply being present to oneself, being arrived, being aware of all that's happening. But also it's a little more than just being present as a mindfulness practice. It's a third state is a self-remembering, and this is a practice, but also it depends depending where we are at. But not just being aware of the content of our experience, but being aware of the being aware that we are the being, that which is hearing these words right now, in this Middle Eastern wood in the background, this wordless, whatever it is, that is what is called really I. That's what the I is, that which is aware. So the whole study of the ideas and the whole all the array of alarm clocks and tools, they are all meant to help us be able to consciously be what we are, and being less identified with the various inner characters and voices and thoughts. And it's just a journey of getting more deeper into that. And then as more conscious we become aware of a lot of chaos and a lot of wrong work of centers or dysfunction or disharmonious operation of the body mind of the machine. So then there's a lot of other work necessary, and then there's, I'm not going to go into it now. My point here was that Maurice Nicoll also, I like him because he really was a earnest and very serious student to Uspensky as well as Gurdjieff for an extended period of time. And also prior to that, he studied for a few years with Jung. And then he was a psychologist, doctor, psychologist, psychiatrist in the 40s and 30s. So I feel like there's a lot of, if any of us are interested in Gurdjieff, you know, there are 3 generations now, you know, so I feel like if we are anybody seriously interested in the fourth way system, as well as people who are not aware of the system, I still encourage it. So I'm continuing. I did 2 other videos from Maurice Nicoll on external considering, just reading. So I'm continuing. External consideration is a very essential practice of the fourth way. But this practice is actually based on a perspective on reality, on a perspective of understanding. This perspective, this practice comes from how we would be. We would naturally be like that. We would naturally act like that if we were more conscious. We would naturally do that from this divine inner ethics and conscience. But as we are not conscious and we are still in the waking sleep state and struggling with all the struggles, then this is a helpful practice to bring us closer to right operation of the heart, especially in connection to relationship with people. So yeah, I'm not going to go now any further on explaining external consideration. I'll have other videos. I just want to have Maurice Nicoll talk about it. But external considering is a very specialized term in the fourth way, which refers to a conscious attempt to look at relational situations from the outside perspective, outside of the ego, and not just be into the me and what's best for me and what they think of me, and being outside of the limited perspective of the imaginary me, and to look at the situation from a perspective of consciousness, impartial and objective, and with the understanding that the other person is also consciousness, whether they are more awake or trying to wake up, or they are more asleep. They're also consciousness. There's like our brothers and sisters, and we are all one. And basically that person, even if we have difficulty with him or her, at their essential nature, they are consciousness. So it's also whatever this disruption is happening, or whatever selfishness is playing out in the relational field, and almost always we do stuff like that. We are like from the perspective of taking things personally and being in a contracted stance in our relations, protecting, defending, justifying, trying to get something, trying not to get hurt, trying to be seen, trying to be good, trying to please, trying to not be seen, trying to hide. You know, that's what I'm talking about. That's what the imaginary me, or the me in the state of sleep, that's what it does. So external considering is, instead of getting into that, to apply this being present to oneself and being aware of oneself, and less identify with this patterned me, and have an inner separation, enough inner separation, so that one can, consciousness, or the real I, the real you, the being, is just aware of the situation from the outside, taking into consideration a multitude of factors, and operating as what's the highest best for the situation, for oneself, for the other person. It's not about being nice, it's not about being virtuous. It's a very embodied, dynamic practice. Can't have a recipe what to do. So March 8, 1943. Internal Considering and External Considering. Part 3. Last time we spoke of the necessity for considering externally in the work. External considering must begin from the start of the work as far as a person is capable of it. A person who is self-centered, that is, who only thinks of himself or herself and of others only in reference to himself or herself, cannot go far. Such a person works only along the first line of work, the line of work on oneself, and that only to a very limited extent. The second line of work has to do with the other people and one's attitude to them. This demands work on oneself also. It does not mean merely that you must endure the unpleasant manifestations of others and remember that they have to endure yours, but it means rather the practice of external considering in general. Everyone has a more or less fixed way of taking other people due to attitudes and buffers. We see others through our attitudes and buffers. In generally, we do not like other people. Instinctively, we are hostile. I remember Gurdjieff once saying that when we pass someone in a lane, we tend to tense our muscles. You know that it has been said that we should not pretend we like other people, but try to work on dislike. Dislike grows very early. You cannot externally consider another person if you nourish dislike only. Everyone splits easily into like and dislike, and in relationships the dislikes must not be allowed to grow mechanically. By self-observation, we noticed we have two memories for a person. When we are negative, we remember only unpleasant things. When not negative, we forget them. We have some idea of what fair treatment means in regard to outer behavior, but we have to be fair in ourselves to others, and this really is work on oneself, and that takes the form of external considering. A cluster of unpleasant thoughts and feelings about another person that you have allowed to enter consciously, willingly, can begin to grow. It is both for the sake of yourself and the other person that something must be done. That is, that you must work on yourself to neutralize, as it were, this unpleasant and powerful material in you. All your intelligence and sincerity and work memory will be required, probably to neutralize this poison, so that you can once more treat the other person fairly inside yourself. You will have to put yourself in the other person's place. You will have to drop all self-justifying, and above all, you will have to remember what you have observed in yourself and what you like before you criticize so easily this other person. And above all, you will have to remember what you have observed in yourself and what you are like before you criticize so easily this other person. On the other hand, you need not do this. You can simply internally consider. You can make accounts, saying to yourself that the other person is wrong, that you have not been properly treated, that you are owed, that the other person is indebted to you, that is in debt to you. All this is the basis of so many relationships in life. The basis is internal considering. Have you also noticed that in a relationship between two people, one of them usually externally considers a little more, and the other often only internally considers and complains about everything, in the work, external considering must go more deeply than in life. It really belongs to the purification of the emotional center. This is important. External considering must go more deeply than in life. It really belongs to the purification of the emotional center. One of the great objects of this work is to awaken the emotional center, which is drugged with negative emotions and all the small emotion of self, of vanity, of self-conceit, self-preoccupation, self-absorption. External considering, in the work sense, requires conscious effort, whereas internal considering is mechanical, that is, it requires no effort but goes on by itself, and it grows by itself just so as do negative emotions. In the work, external considering does not spring from life motives. This is important too. In the work, external considering does not spring from life motives. That is why it requires conscious effort. You have to consider people who in life you would probably not for a moment think of considering. It is this kind of external considering that can change the level of being. Let us take a person who practices external considering in life, for example, a head waiter. He is perhaps very clever. He notices what people like, what their peculiarities are, what they expect from him, what forms of irritation they have, what food they prefer, and so on. He panders to all this. Like St. Paul, he is all things to all men, but not from the same motives. He is intelligent enough to adapt himself to people's requirements. He puts himself out for the sake of others. He is tactful, observant. He faces himself, and so on. But he does all this because he's playing a game. And he's quite right, he's intelligent. But in the work, the case is different. External considering from a life point of view is not the same as external considering from a work point of view. At the same time, a person who knows what external considering means in life and who is trained in studying the requirements of other people may perhaps learn better what external considering means in the work. Brother Kirk, he left this dimension, but he is with us, and we are in him, and he is in us. I will go on. What I want you to see tonight is that kind of external considering done by the waiter is not the same as that which becomes eventually necessary for everyone in the work. You come to the necessity and to the meaning of external considering in the work from a different side, which is certainly connected with yourself and your self-interest, but not in the same way. Our object is to try to awaken, not to be so identified with everything, not to be slaves to useless negative states and blank minds, and so on. If we continually make accounts against one another by privately despising, by wrong talking, by psychologically murdering others and so on, all work on oneself is spoiled. In the process of awakening from sleep, one thing hangs on another thing. One leg cannot get out of bed. The whole of you must get out of bed if you want to stand upright. This is very good. One leg cannot get out of bed. The whole of you must get out of bed if you want to stand upright. After a time in the work, you come to that point of sincerity with yourself, in which you realize that you simply cannot allow yourself to be in some particular state that you observe you are in. It is then that you will begin to see why you must externally consider. That is, that you must get things right in yourself with regard to other people. You must get things right in yourself. I italicized. You must get things right in yourself with regard to other people. It's so rich, man. Don't let it just be a reading. We need to chew on this and try to see in our life with people in our life. So you will see from this brief note that external considering in the work is not something superficial, but something very deep. At first you must practice external considering quite externally, so to speak, but notice the quality of it. The more sincere it is, the better the quality. The more superficial and pretended, the worse the quality. All efforts in the work, as has been often said, depend for their results on their quality. I suggest that for practical work, each of you decides to externally consider a particular person during this next week. Yes, that's a good aim. Let's all do it, man. I suggest that for practical work, each of you decides to externally consider a particular person during this next week. Observe your mechanical reactions to this person. Observe your mechanical criticisms. Observe where you feel superior. Try to find in yourself the same things that you complain of in the other person. Think how you would like the other person to think of you as you think of him or her. Excuse me. Think how you would like the other person to think of you as you think of him or her. Put yourself in the other person's place. Try to see where the trouble lies in yourself as well as in the other person. Try to not identify. Notice your inner talking and what is up to. Keep awake to what you are doing, which will be your aim for a week. Remember it every day on getting up. Think of it at night, where you failed, why you failed, where you began to internally consider instead of to externally consider. Then you will see better the meaning of externally considering and how it can change being. Thank you, Maurice Nicoll. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to read a little bit more, but actually it was so powerful at the end. I really appreciate that he wants us to practice, man. Otherwise it's philosophy. Don't just think about these deep ideas. Even people in my group, there's some people, more practice. The practice is weak. The thinking about the ideas is good. It's important to think about the ideas, but the practice needs to be stronger. So I invite us all to choose one person this week and to externally consider from all those points of view. It is very useful to find someone that sometimes you have friction with, someone that you don't have perfect harmonious balance, because then you are naturally, there's no challenge. So find someone you have friction with, somebody you have some mechanical dislike, somebody maybe that you are triggered for various reasons, somebody that you interact with. And it's very important. I often offer alarm clocks and aims in Circle of Being groups that I lead, but it really comes down to the person to remember to do them. So I really appreciated Maurice Nicoll that said to wake up in the morning and remember the aim. And when you go to bed, remember how you went and be objective about oneself. It's not about beating yourself up. You need to be beyond this. I mean, if you're not, that's fine, observe that. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about this ruthless yet benevolent, radical looking at oneself and being dedicated to the aim. Initially, the part in us that is interested to awaken and do the work. It's small, it's weak, and I understand it's hard. There are a lot of other preoccupations, influence or worldly preoccupation that we are split. I understand that. I was like that too, and this takes time. But as we stay with it by studying and practicing and working with others and having 3 lines of work, then this fire grows and grows and grows. Anyway, so one practical way to even do that is, because sometimes we wake up and we don't have the habit of being present with yourself when you wake up and you just start doing or thinking. It's always good to wake up and stay there for a bit, even sit up. You don't have to meditate long, but sit up. Let's do this too. Let's sit up. Feel your breath and take a few deeper breaths, to expand a little bit more. Deeper breath, fuller breath. It may feel like full, but it's a false cap. And stay there for a bit, and then stay there on empty. And do a few deeper breaths, fresh air, and a little bit of gratitude. It's always good to, it's a great exercise to actually purify and strengthen the emotional center. Also, Maurice Nicoll was saying that, if I remember well, that this external considering is again the purification of the emotional center, the awakening of the emotional center. So that's a very important practice. So as you wake up, stay into being first, reconnect to yourself, get more aware of the body and of the breath, and don't go into thinking, stay as being. And the instinctive center is groggy and all of that, and it's like, it's okay, that's why you can take some deeper breath, some gratitude, just thank you, absolute, for another day. It's thank you for another day, thank you for waking up, thank you for this house, thank you for I have a car, thank you for these teachings, thank you for the masters, thank you for my friends in the work. I recommend. And then, so that would be nice then to remember the aim, to external consider one person. And some of us in the group, we have several aims about unnecessary talk, about other things that we are working on that I forgot now, you see. But we have someone in our group puts them, so we have a reminder. But here you have to take responsibility. So what I like for myself, one good way is to write down on a piece of paper and you put them very briefly, the aim. If you have one, it's easier, And then take it with you in the pocket. And as Gergi would say, this aim is your God. Try to be devoted to this aim. This is how it works on the fourth way path, and many paths too. This fourth way system can be very applies to even if you were Greek Orthodox monk or a Tibetan Buddhist, or it's still the principles apply, can strengthen your practice. All right, so I was back on this having a name, and this aim is like a signpost, because the aim to awaken is too big, it's too abstract. For a long time it's abstract, we don't even know what that means. So, but we know that it's already pretty good to have verified that we are asleep. Actually, many people, everybody is asleep, but they think they are awake. They think this is normal, but this is actually it takes quite a bit of awakening to realize we are asleep. But to really for this to be very practical and to grow, it takes some time. So that's why it's important to work with aims and just move it along. As Lao Tzu said, a journey of 10,000 miles starts with one step. So that's why in an organized group we are staying focused and steady. So another way to remember the aim is to maybe have a special jewelry, or you have a mala, or you have a special some meaningful, that has a meaningful esoteric reminder for you. I sometimes have a mala or a ring, and I take it off when I go to sleep, and then when I wake up in the morning I take it, but I don't just mechanically put it on the finger. I remember my aim. I remember to use the day wisely, to not squander time with trifles. It's hard. I still do it. I do it. But it helps to remind myself, so you can do it with a jewelry or a mala or a piece of paper. Alright, I like this night transmission. I don't know. I like it. So yeah, feel free to comment here your observations, or if you have any people out there who I might not know but you are watching this, you know, I hope that this helps you, and I invite you to, if you have any question based on all the stuff I'm talking about or topic of interest, I'm open to being more interactive with all the people with magnetic centers out there that I don't know. Looking forward to know. All right. Good night.